Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Concepticon. I want to say first and foremost, Happy New Year. And this is my first figure unboxing for the new year. It's been quite some time since I've done one of these. I've been dealing with a lot as of late, but here I am, and hopefully I could buy more figures this year and do more of these unboxings this year. What we have here is the Legends of Lucha Libre Fanaticos Series Ultimate Warrior. Now, originally, I wasn't going to buy this figure because these days, the better figures are those that are more articulated. You could do a lot of poses with, things of that nature, right? This figure doesn't afford us that luxury because it doesn't have a bicep. Well, it doesn't have a bicep swivel. It doesn't have abdominal swivel, or ab crunch, if you will. The articulation on it is a little archaic, but from what I've seen online, it's deceptively articulated or articulate, despite its pretty obvious limitations. So I saw it and it looked very toyetic to me. The last time I had an Ultimate Warrior figure was way back in the day with the Ruthless Aggression figures. It was a red attire Ultimate Warrior and Ultimo Dragon. It didn't even have the top half of his attire. Now, I'm not sure if it came that way. I know they had the one with his Here Comes the Pain attire, which is like the blue iridescent almost attire. They made one like that without the top piece. Ultimo Dragon without that top piece to me is like what's recently happened with the Hasbro figure 30th anniversary Lightning Collection, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. That's a handful, correct? Right. They made the Green Ranger out of his gold vest, his gold armor. And I know they had to do something to compensate with the Red Ranger. So they gave him that armor because all the other Rangers in the series came with like a non-helmet face. It came with them without their helmet. And they couldn't do it with the Red Ranger because Jason's going through a legal issue of some sort right now, some type of something dealing with the money. I don't know if it's embezzlement or fraud or something like that. So they're like, okay, well, we can't put the head with them, so we'll give them the vest. But that meant that they didn't do a vest with Tommy. And thus, long story short, I say that to say this. Back when I had the Ruthless Aggression figures, or they made the Ruthless Aggression figures for Ultimo Dragon, and it didn't come with this vest, it felt like the same situation currently with the Green Ranger with Hasbro. So I say all that to say this. I seen it in a GameStop, bought 3 more figures along with it. Spent like $100 up at GameStop. And it's like every time I go to GameStop, I'm like, I'm just gonna look. I always end up buying something. So I guess if I say, hey, I'm going into GameStop to buy something, I might just go in and look. So, I don't know. It always happens to me. And that was my girlfriend who opened the door that you guys told the door open up. Yes, I have one. But anyway, let's open it up. Before we open it up, let's see the packaging. So on the back here, you see a portrait. You see a portrait of Ultimate Warrior. See some of the other figures in the series. You've got Vampiro, excuse me. You have Pero Iguayo, rest in peace. Or as it says here, I guess that means the son of Pero Iguayo. Who, if you look him up, he looks, and you're going to say, well, duh, he's the son, but he looks just like his father. There's a lot of wrestlers who did not look just like their dad. Like David Sammartino does not look like Bruno. Who's the other wrestler that tried to do what their dad did and they sucked? I think about it later. But anyway, he looks just like his dad. Just like Angel Garza looked just like his dad. Anyway, so Perro Aguayo and Black Taurus. And while these aren't articulated as most wrestling figures are these days, Boss Fight Studios does have a series of a Legend of Lucha Libre articulated figures. And I think in the series, they're coming out with a, I know they did a Rey Fenix in red around the same time the first AEW of him came out. Taya Valkyrie, and I forget who else, and they're also coming out with a second series too. And they're gonna build up to it. They're not gonna do like what SH Figure Arts did. Well, actually, SH Figure Arts didn't start off with give you the most at first. So who's the series that I could think of, and they started off right out the gate with the main eventers? I want to say this new X-Men wave for the series 97 series is going to be on Disney Plus. Right away, they gave you the main eventers, the Magnetos, the Wolverines, the Storms. Even the second series has freaking Jean Grey and Cyclops and stuff like that. This series is going to start you off with some of the lesser known luchadors. They're not giving you Mil Mascaras or Mil Mascaras. Or who's another Lucha Bray? Silver King and, Mr. Wrestling and all the other luchadors first. They're going to start you off with some more contemporary people and lesser known people first. You would hope that you would get a Mystico 06, circa 06 in the series in the second wave. They haven't given us yet that figure. I'm sure the rights are astronomical for a lot of these guys, Image, and they're charging you out the wazoo to make a figure of them. So it's kind of crazy, but nonetheless, and they're not like Mattel where they give you a basic version and 2 waves later they give you an articulated version. This is the Soul Ultimo Dragon that we have, the Soul Black Taurus, and I think they're actually coming out with an articulated Vampiro, so I stand corrected. But and it's actually Vampiro that is more famously known with the face paint and everything. So they're coming out with that. So they're coming out with a Vampiro that's articulated and his more famously known look. So yeah, that's well, there's one more thing. I'm sure you guys already see it. Finishing move is the Dragon Bomb. Debut is 87, and he's from Nagoya, Japan. And even though he's not a Lucha Libre in nationality sense, because when you think of Lucha Libre, you think of Mexico. Ultimo Dragon is one of the most famous high flyers and luchadors of all time. And, everybody knows the famous picture of him with like 15 belts or like 10 belts, 5 on one arm and 5 on another arm. It's like a meme at this rate. I remember his finisher around this time being the Dragon Sleeper. And, when I started watching wrestling, I didn't get a lot of Ultimo Dragon in WCW. He had already gone back to Japan. So I mostly remember him from his WWE run, the trip over at WrestleMania and playing with him on the games. The first wrestling game I ever played was World Tour, WCW versus NWO World Tour on Nintendo 64. And I remember Ultimo Dragon and just being enamored with his look and his moveset in the game. And, this was the attire he had in WCW World Tour and Revenge. And, later in WWE, he looked a little bit differently. It wasn't as colorful. He had, like the blue attire with, the iridescent dots on it. And then his run kind of came and went, but he's always been a good luchador and kicks, and everybody knows him for the Acai moonsault. I remember when I first seen him do the standing Shinryu or Shinryu. I don't know how to pronounce it. I was just a marvel. And when he had that match against Shannon Moore, I think it was his debut match, and he did like the standing moonsault DDT. I thought it was one of the most fascinating moves I've ever seen a wrestler do. along at that time, along with the Canadian Destroyer, because TNA was just burgeoning as a company at that time, and Petey Williams was just taking the world by storm with the flipping pile driver Canadian Destroyer before it got bastardized by everybody in the wrestling, world. AEW throws those things out like they're hip tosses. So enough of my yapping, because you guys who have seen my previous videos know I yap for about 10 minutes before I get to the fucking unboxing. So we're going to open it up. Then I don't have any, see, I'll show you how prepared I am. I don't have any figures up in here with me to do the finisher test, but that's the figure outside the box. It doesn't come with any accessories, which is something I'm not used to with wrestling figures. Even basic WWE Mattels come with like a matted colored belt or something like that. So it's kind of stiff. My figure's kind of stiff here. But let's see the articulation. Let's see. This is what it looks like. You get this much articulation, which is more than even you get in AEW figures, with more articulation than this as far as like waist and everything. A lot of those figures can't even do a 90 degree, like an L, like this can. And that's incredible, right? But you could do that much out. And you can't do it back a lot like that. So, you don't get a lot of knee here. You get that much leg or, knee. You get a turn at the ankle, and you get a turn right here. So I think that's pretty neat, Those are the kick pads there. They look a little odd to me, not typical. But, you get a nice little ankle swivel and up and down on the ankle there. This belt does not come off. You could do a super kick with it. Not the Ultimo Dragon did any super kicks, but he was a kicker guy. He does a lot of kicks to the ankles, kicks like that. And then, to the leg, and then does a jumping kick to the face or chest. But yeah, you could do a leg drop with it. I call it the leg drop test, or the guillotine leg drop test. And then there is, I don't know what you call these joints, but you could do like that and turn it. So that's pretty dope, right? Of course, the torso doesn't move here, but it does have some articulation. So this is not bad. Like, I had a representative of Boss Fight when they were showing the figures off. I said something about the articulation. We kind of had a little back and forth about it. And I'm glad I bought this, because I like to be corrected when I'm wrong. I like to be proven wrong for the right reasons, if you will. And I'm pleasantly surprised by the articulation of this. I mean, it's better than a Mattel Basic. But this, at the time, was before Mattel came out with their newer Basics, where they have similar articulation to these now. I mean, the Mattel Basics, when I saw that and I made the comment, the Mattel Basics didn't even have, they only went up and down like this. And now they have a lot better articulation. I think the legs are like the Elites now, and it just doesn't have like the waist swivel, and it certainly doesn't do like this, but they have improved those tremendously too. I mean, WWE's making money hand over fist now, so it's like, why can't they afford to chip in and say, hey, we're doing so much better that we could raise the quality of these basics instead of lowering it? But the colors could still use some work. They're not going to make them so good that you disregard an Elite, because that's where their bread and butter is. I mean, it goes basic, Elite, and Ultimate. But more on that later. Back to the Ultimo Dragon here, so that you could get this much out of the arm. And again, get a whole lot out of it. I think these hands come off, but I'm not about to take no risks, because it didn't even come with any hands or anything like that. Like I said, it's just the figure. So you get that much out of it, and then you could do like that. Reminds me of the old articulation on Marvel Legends, honestly. Because I know a lot of the women figures were like this, where you didn't have anything there. You didn't have any swivel up there. So it kind of reminds me of the old Marvel Legends female figures. But I like that you could at least even do this. So that's pretty neat. I think Boss Fight Studios also are the ones that's coming out with the MLW figures. And those look fantastic. I mean, and they're actually starting you off with a pretty good set of guys with that. I mean, they're giving you Killer Cross before WWE did with hair. And they're giving you Jacob Fatu. They're giving you freaking Alex Hammerstone and some other guy, something with Kruger in his name. I don't know. He's got a mask. That much I do know. But, you know, and then the great thing about those is their articulation is pretty much up there with like a Mattel Elite Ultimate. They're giving you butterfly. They're giving you ankle. They're giving you the articulation of a Mattel Elite Ultimate or AEW Supreme starting off with their series. There's no basics. It's like, it reminds me of how some wrestlers' first championship was world titles. It's like, we're not going to give you the Intercontinental or European title first. We're going to start you off with the World Heavyweight Championship. That's what it reminds me of. So they're also the same company that's doing the MLW figures. But I'm not going to take any risk getting this off. I don't know if it does come off. And if it don't, I'm not about to risk it. I'm not about to pop his head off because I'm not sure. I mean, I think you can. Let me see. Yeah, it's on a ball joint. So if you want to take this off, you probably can. But I don't see anywhere where you could do that. And I'm not about to try to take his arms off so I can. But this is a pretty dope figure. I hope that they could give us... Now, I forget the name of their version of the Elite Series. I don't know what it's called, but, and this elbow pad's not bad either, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's great to get a lot of these other figures for some of these things. Like Mattel, up until recently, I think their Goldberg figure was the first one to give us elbow pads like this. It's good to get these other figures for some of the accessories that other, you know, like Mattel won't do. So it wasn't until they got to Goldberg that they started giving us elbow pads like this with the open space. And I have a Triple H Ultimate Elite that I have that I'll also be doing a video on and may upload tomorrow. I don't know, maybe later in the week, but I know I'm definitely doing a video unboxing of it. I'm going to take those elbow pads off of my Goldberg figure and give it to the Triple H because they gave him like the Rob Van Dam, or they gave him the shorter knee pads, and Triple H had longer knee pads, and sometimes he wore a knee brace with it or tape under the right or the left leg, and then the longer knee pad over it. They gave him like the Chris Jericho knee pads or something like that. Like he didn't wear knee pads like that. The shorter ones like Randy Orton's figures come with back in 2000 when he was with Stephanie McMahon. So I got to change out the knee pads and I got to change out the elbow pads because I think they gave them like those short elbow pads like the Rock figures come with. They just messed my man's all the way up. So I got to do some alterations with that figure. And yeah. But anyway, it's cool to have like other companies out there doing figures that WWE necessarily can't. Because I'll love to see where Boss Fight's going to go with these luchadors. I mean, I would love to get a Mystico, a.k.a. Sin Cara, because 06 Mystico was pretty awesome. He was making some of the best money and having some of the best matches, and quite frankly, was not botching like that. I mean, if he could have been that version of himself in WWE, he'd probably still be in WWE today, and had a couple of world title reigns to his name, and had the same respect on his name that Ray has. But, you know, and he never revisited that height, that peak of his career as he did in 2006. But I'd love to see them do something like that. I love to see them do, because they got a Conan too. They have a Conan Elite. Back when you wore a mask, I think it has like blue and pink. But give us some guys, some other luchadors. You know, give us, if you could do Ultimo Dragon, they probably could do a great Sasuke. He's a legend. So let's see what else they could do. And just it's great to have alternatives, man. I want to see heels and faces with their Brian Pillman. I know there's another company, I can't think of the name. They're doing a Sabu and they did a Dynamite Kid. So it's just great to see a lot of these figures come to fruition and not have to be made by Mattel, because Mattel may never get the rights to some of these guys. So maybe about the Paraguayo and the Black Taurus, I don't know, because I like the look of them. I'm definitely not buying that Vampiro because it's not his most famous look. So that concludes my video here for the Ultimo Dragon. Great figure overall. If I do say so myself, go buy it. I'm pleasantly surprised by the articulation of this figure, even though it's their version of a basic. It's better than most basic figures, which, quite frankly, I think Mattel is the only one that gives you basic figures. And I want to correct myself one more time. Actually, AEW came out right out of the bat with articulated figures too. But there are articulated figures, and then there are Supreme figures that have the butterfly swivels and everything like that, and overall better articulation at the legs and such. Boss Fight with the MLW figures is pretty much like you're getting the Supreme or Ultimate Elite right off the bat. Like, here you go. Here's the WWE Championship. Here's the World Heavyweight Championship. There you go. Have at it. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Sorry it took so long. Y'all know I yap. And Happy New Year. And there will be more. Take care.